He's just standing there, menacingly!
What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Last Halloween I harnessed the raw sex appeal of Ghostface, and this year I decided to go with a true horror icon. Today we're going to see if we can beat Fallout 4 as Michael Myers. This challenge isn't that different from my Ghostface run, to be honest. They both use knives, they're both legendary in the horror scene, and they have an unnecessary amount of thirst traps about them. I don't know much about Michael in general, except for the fact that he's slow, hard to kill, and loves killing family members. The only thing I have trouble with is the walking everywhere. I do not have the patience or the time to slow walk all over the Commonwealth. I'm just going to be going at the character's normal jogging speed for the sake of my sanity. However, I don't want to get rid of that facet of his character completely, and decided that I'm not allowed to sprint at all in this run. With that taken care of, I'll get into the rest of the rules and stuff throughout the run. Okay, let's get into it. I loaded up a save at the end of Vault 111. Before I even exited the vault, I already had my main mod in my inventory. Halloween Michael Myers by Wapeddell. They're the ones that made the Deadpool mod in my Can You Beat Fallout 4 as Deadpool video. Great video, by the way, go check it out. Thanks to their mod, I automatically have access to Michael Myers' outfit, as well as his iconic kitchen knife, which does over 100 damage. Holy shit. I redid some of my stats to grab some good early game perks, especially Idiot Savant. Don't know if Michael is secretly a super genius or something? Let me know in the comments. I was finally able to emerge into the wasteland, and immediately started practicing my stabbing.
Now stand back, I gotta practice my stabbing.
I reached Sanctuary to grab my favorite comic book and raise my luck stat to 5. I quickly left the area and made a beeline straight for Concord. The fun part about this Michael Myers mod is that it comes with two different suits. One is purely aesthetic, and the second one turns you into a fucking nightmare. Quite literally, as nearly every enemy in the game will try to run away from you in fear. Most of the time, they don't even fight back. You'd think that would make this boring, but it is hilarious to watch them run away in horror. Now, in terms of the story, if I went at this like a lore-accurate Michael Myers, there's no fucking way that you can beat Fallout 4 as him. I'd be killing everyone I see, making it impossible to advance in the game. That's when I thought it would be funny to see the Michael Myers becoming the general of the Minutemen, just so he can lull them into a false sense of security before finally introducing his knife to their necks. For a second I contemplated joining the Institute, however certain storyline aspects makes that pretty hard with the whole killing family members thing. Hope you guys are okay with that workaround. Let's get back into it. I reached Preston and the trapped Minutemen before making my way back outside to deal with the rest of the raiders. I even found one cowering in a nearby building. When the Deathclaw finally spawned in, I thought I was going to have an epic battle until it went, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." Hey, get your scaly ass back here! With my inability to sprint, the bastard is constantly able to outrun me and my knife. That is until it got stuck on some trees, allowing me to tag it in VATS. I was finally able to take the Deathclaw down, returned to Concord, and cleaned up the rest of the raiders. I stood by and stared at Preston until I met back up with him at Sanctuary, completing the quest. Now, helping those people left a bad taste in my mouth, and I made a quick stop at Abernathy Farm to cleanse my palate a little bit. Nothing gets the heart racing like cold-blooded murder.
Jesus Christ.
After my knife was nice and red, I continued my way through the wasteland, destroying a cabin of ghouls, which are one of the few enemies that don't run away from me in fear when they see me. When I next leveled up, I remembered my ordeal with the Deathclaw, and thought that Blitz could be a pretty useful perk. The sad part being, I only have 1 agility. Therefore, I decided I'd be building up my agility stat throughout the game, in order to make the lack of speed less of an issue. While I was killing some bugs, I stopped by a rundown settlement to grab a magazine that doubles the meat you get from animals. I don't know why I grabbed this, to be honest, I just like the perk. I made a gunner shit their pants, one-shotted a guy in damn power armor, and continued my murderous rampage. If you're not needed for the completion of this challenge, you'll be feeling the knife. I found a weird house with explosives. Surprise, bitch! I stopped by Fort Hagen for later in the game, and found a nearby blood bank to stab a bunch of mosquitoes in their blood sacks. This also gives me a shit ton of healing supplies, even though I doubt I would need most of them. I continued my way through the Commonwealth, dealing with a couple of idiots who didn't run away from me when they had the chance. I walked up to Trudy, who was grateful for my help. You wanna guess another rule for this run? No trading. I continued the killing with Trash Can Carla just up the road, although I did leave her Brahmin alive. He's such a good boy. I stopped by a nearby junkyard to chase a couple of mole rats around. However, those little hairless bastards are quick. They also know how to fucking fly.
They fly now? They fly now!
I wasn't about to let a magic mole rat escape my knife. I was finally able to stab it in the ass, and proceeded to do the same to a nearby rat scorpion. The stabbing fun didn't end there, as I made it to a ghoul-infested town. I enjoyed fighting them, as they actually fight back for once. I scared the shit out of a ghoul who was hiding in a giant Pringles can, and continued my killing until I stumbled across a group that was being swarmed by ghouls. I went to work stabbing my way through the rushing horde, my blade not stopping until they were all dead at my feet. With that finished, I slowly turned to the guy in full power armor, and proceeded to melt his health in no time. time, bringing him to his knees. I left him and made him watch me kill his comrade, before I finally put him down. One of them thought she could hide in the police station, but you can't hide from the shape. I looted the buildings, chased a couple of raiders around so I could stab them, and unlocked the Green Tech Genetics building for later. I continued to slice throats and cause chaos against the nearby raiders and mega church. That place was full of people with barely any way to defend themselves, making it very easy to deal with them. Moving on, I nearly blew my legs off, discovered some important locations, and found a giant mutant in a nearby pond, which proceeded to run away like a little bitch. Thankfully, the giant bastard got stuck on the terrain, allowing me to close the distance and start stabbing in the gooch. I continued the chaos by going down into Park Street Station and taking out the wannabe gangsters inside. They didn't put up much of a fight as they ran around like a bunch of headless chickens. I destroyed the rest of the Triggermen and singled out one in particular to scare the absolute shit out of. I got the very accurate reaction from one of the goons. I had fun chasing the rest of the guards around the vault until I am finally able to stick my knife between Dino's ass cheeks, which makes him twerk for some reason. I rescued the living toaster, massacred my way through the rest of the vault, and demolished the final guard at the end. We confronted Skinny and proceeded to kill all of his guards as well as his girlfriend. I gave him a second to realize what just happened before I took him out. I met Nick outside and agreed to meet him back at his agency. However, before I did that, I paid a visit to the local library to grab the intelligence bobblehead. Once I shoved that bobblehead down my pants, the building got attacked by a swarm of super mutants. Sadly for them, I have a knife that does a shit ton of damage, and I am able to one-shot every single one of them. They just kept coming and coming, allowing me to let off so much of my bloodlust. At some point, for whatever reason, sent one of them fucking flying. It was so majestic. Even as they spawned into the building, they were immediately met with my knife stabbing into their soft green flesh. I finally finished off the last of them and made my way towards Diamond City. It had become nighttime and I stuck to the shadows as I got closer, before I calmly sauntered on past Piper and the mayor, allowing me to reach Diamond City proper. I tried to stay out of sight as much as I could, watching some people sleep from the bushes before I finally reached Nick and continued the quest. In need of Kellogg's house key, I made it up to the secretary and had to suppress my urge to kill them so hard. I was able to steal the key, met Nick at Kellogg's house, and discovered his sex dungeon behind a fake wall. In order to help me track Kellogg down, Nick signals for Dogmeat to track his scent. I allowed him to sniff my hand and proceeded to just fast travel to Fort Hagen instead. I took out the turrets on the roof and was just now realizing that the suit made turrets not attack me. I made my way inside and was surprised to find synths running away from me in fear. I could smell the oil in the air as they wet themselves at my mere presence. Now, scaring the oil out of these synths is all fun and games, but I do kind of want a little challenge from Kellogg. So I took off the OP costume and put on the second one, which takes away all the special effects that came with the OP armor. I continued my way through the synths like normal, still able to one-shot them thanks to my knife. However, further in, my health is melted by a couple of synths who blast me with high-powered lasers. The next time through, I was able to use VATS to my advantage and take down the robots with the rifles. The armor has 100 in ballistic resistance, but has 0 in energy resistance, making energy weapons chew through my health in seconds. However, that doesn't stop me from stabbing a synth through a fucking door. I took a bunch of drugs in order to tank a couple of synths before I'm finally able to reach Kellogg's room. I confronted the walking cereal box. However, instead of attacking him first, I took out his guards due to them having energy weapons. With them down, his revolver couldn't do anything against my ballistic resistance. I made sure Kellogg felt the sharp bite of my knife on his neck as I killed him. I took his brain bits, downloaded his search history, and watched as Spirit Halloween enacted their plan for world domination. Throughout that fight, I forgot to dismiss Dogmeat and sent him away. I paid a quick visit to the nearby trailer park in order to level up on a horde of ghouls that called it home. High on ghoul blood, I returned to Diamond City and murdered a guy in broad daylight. Surprisingly, no one got angry. Some were even praising me. Oh, that feels good. I returned to Nick to continue the questline, stabbed my way through the graveyard full of ghouls and nearby super mutants. Also, I could reach Good Neighbor and slice a man's throat open. I reached Dr. Amari in order for her to analyze a piece of Kellogg's brain I have in my back pocket. I gave her some radioactive shrimp, climbed into the memory chair, and became Kellogg's worst fucking nightmare. I stood in the corner until the quote-unquote cutscene was finished, exited the memory chair, and was a pube hair away from killing everyone in that room. I took my bloodlust out on a nearby raider group, a group of people who will not be missed by anyone in this city, making them the perfect targets for me. While I was in the area, I stopped by an old rundown church in order to take out some trash. I dealt with the ghouls on the inside, figured out their secret password, before I came face to face with a couple of bitches. I slowly walked closer to them until they finally opened fire on me. I focused Gloria as her minigun was the biggest threat there. Once she was down, the rest went down soon afterwards. I am really glad that my knife is able to deal so much damage. I was so powerful I made Deacon get stuck in limbo, allowing me to kill him twice. I dealt with the remaining members of the railroad, giving one of them a terrible wake-up call and making Tom shit his overalls before I plunged my knife into him. When that was finished, I looted their supplies, but when I tried to leave, the game glitched and refused to let me leave the catacombs, forcing me to take the back exit out of there. I came out on a group of raiders and proceeded to give them a couple new holes. That is until a legendary raider with a laser musket is able to destroy most of my health in a single shot. I quickly died soon thereafter. Trying again. I was thankfully able to take a shot next time, and finished them off in vats. I took the rest of my anger out on the remaining raiders. I made my way towards Virgil. Might I add, I put the OP suit back on. I just find it hilarious to watch a guy in power armor run away in pure ass-clenching fear. I even took out a raider with a damn missile launcher, before somehow falling through the roof. I need a new pair of leather boots, bitch! I took out the Deathclaw with little issue. That is until it phases to the ground, before its dead corpse pops back into existence right behind me. What the fuck? I finally reached the glowing sea and immediately got attacked by a giant radioactive scorpion. I found a whole family of roaches along the way, before finding a building full of the remnants of the old United States government.
Corporate needs you to find the differences between this picture and this picture. Intel has told us there are at least 7.
Okay, I already see one. Give him. Okay.
They're the same picture.
I sent one of the guys in power armor fucking flying across the hallway with one strike. I continued my way through the occupants of the building, causing one of them to shit a nuke in pure terror of me. I took out a colonel with a badass jacket, which almost makes me want to do an enclave run. Let me know in the comments. I reached the roof and was surprised to get blasted in the face by a lightning bolt. I took out the wannabe Thor, but was surprised to find actual human enemies that were trying to fight me. They jumped from a vertibird and immediately began shooting high-powered flamethrowers at me. The burning effect was able to do quite a bit of damage to my health. I jumped down to the ground to meet them head on. I was doing great at first, but I was ultimately cooked by the fire mid-vats. Trying again, I pumped myself full of drugs and tried to take them out before they could turn the battlefield into a burning hellscape. One critical was able to send one of them flying. It was so beautiful. I didn't realize that I was burning to death until it was too late. The third time was the charm, as I am thankfully able to keep from burning to death, and humiliated the 2 soldiers in the process. With them done, that only left the vertibird. Sadly, with only a knife, I am unable to reach the damn thing. Thankfully, their minigun bullets bounced off my muscular chest with little damage. They were like an annoying little mosquito, constantly pestering me as they went. I was so pissed off I descended upon the Children of Adam camp with a hailstorm of bullets in my wake. I made sure to return these idiots to their irradiated god, as I slaughtered anyone I saw. Thankfully, I seem to have lost the vertibird in the middle of the chaos, allowing me to reach Virgil's cave without any issues. Although I did have to take out his guard dog. I reached Virgil and he sends me off to Green Tech Genetics in order to grab a courser's butt plug. I was able to cause so much fear and chaos to the gunners that got between me and that courser's ass. I even turned into a flaming demon partway through. As I went, I turned a corner and got a missile launcher shoved down my throat. I wasn't about to take that and let him escape with his life. While I was cutting my way through the rest of the gunners, I suddenly got tased in the balls by a random pulse mine. Trying again. I made my way back up to where I was, dealing death to any poor gunner that got in my way. Some of them were even pissing their pants in the corner. Near the top, I launched the gunner after stabbing him in the ass, before I'm finally able to reach the courser on the top floor. The fight was over before he could even fire a shot, making his body fall to the floor like leftover trash. I grabbed the courser's butt plug, made sure there was no one left alive, and I mean no one. I hopped over to the railroad base in order to decode the chip, before returning it to Virgil. He gives me the plans for a teleporter, and now with his usefulness completed, I attacked him with my knife. However, he is still marked as essential, which really puts a damper on the whole slasher thing. Unable to kill him, I was forced to leave and return to Preston in order to get the teleporter working. Sadly, he won't help me until I go help out another settlement. I didn't really feel like it, and instead went out and did some killing as well as grab another bobblehead. However, before I reached that, I had to find my way through everything that got in my way. Raiders, gunners, and random robots were all on the menu today. I found a bobblehead. Sadly, it's not the one I was looking for, and it just so happened to be surrounded by a bunch of guys in power armor. I really do feel bad for the Atom Cats. I like them. They just had the misfortune of catching me in my slasher phase, putting all of my strength into the last strike and sending that bitch flying. Moving on, I found another settlement and immediately got to killing. However, as I looked around, I was surprised to find everyone on the fucking roof!
Gregory! What the f*** are you doing? How did you get up there?
They foolishly jumped down to the ground, allowing me to do my bloody work and take them out. I finally reached my final destination, and proceeded to stab a bunch of Norwegian ghouls. While I was fighting, I threw away their dumbbells before doing a little workout myself. That is before I gave a guy a surprise colonoscopy. Deep breaths now. As I was fighting the raider boss, I somehow fell off the side of the boat, which was a little annoying. I returned to the top and stabbed the boss in the ass for the trouble. I was able to grab the agility bobblehead, finally allowing me to grab the blitz perk. With that taken care of, I moved on to continue the Minutemen questline. As I was listening, a random fucking vertibird comes out of nowhere and started spraying. Unable to do anything about the damn thing, I tried to make enough distance to allow me to fast travel away. I made my way towards the Corvega assembly plant and introduced them to my knife. Making my way inside, I tore through the low-level raiders like they were nothing. When I finished slicing the throat, I was surprised to find one of them just staring at me.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
At some point I drove my knife into a raider and then seemed to have stabbed their ghost? Okay. I was finally able to take care of the raider boss. However, before I left, I trapped 3 raiders inside a semi-truck and scared the shit out of them before killing them. Also, watch this shit. With that quest completed, I returned to Preston and finally started building the teleporter. I got most of the important stuff built, but I was missing a sensor module for one of them, forcing me to go off and find one in the wild. I followed a map marker that brought me to a suicider mutant, who ran away from me. It was so weird to see them run away. There was a second one, who thought he could escape me by running up a bunch of stairs. It just made me more pissed off than normal when I stabbed him. I reached the building with the map marker. However, when I made it to the specific room, it was fucking locked with an advanced lock. A lock that I am unable to pick. I took my anger out on a nearby Yao Guai as I went out to search for a sensor module. I looked it up online and found that there was one in this specific building. A building filled with fucking booby traps. I made it downstairs and didn't even react to a missile launcher going off at my feet. Thankfully, I was able to find the damn module, allowing me to finish off the teleporter and get my atoms rearranged in a flash of light, putting me inside the institute, and I immediately downloaded their robot porn.
What did he say?
I took a long elevator ride, found a fake child in a terrarium, and finally reconnected with my son. With my job completed, I went back the way I came, destroying the synth guards that got in my way, even ones that ran away from me. I teleported the fuck out of there, and returned to the Commonwealth, eager to do some more stabbing. Although I did drop off the robot porn to Sturgis and continue the Minutemen questline with Preston. I went out to the wasteland and was going to kill a super mutant, only for it to disappear inside a building. That was not going to save him, and he just doomed his entire group to death by knife. Most of them went down with little difficulty, but there was also a bunch of mirelurks in the basement for some reason. Although all of these crabs gave me a lot of experience for what I wanted to do, which involved a giant castle that is swarming with so many mirelurks that I have to swim through them. I went across the castle, killing crabs and their eggs, which made me so tired I took a little nap in the middle of clearing this place out. I continued destroying eggs until the mirelurk queen finally decided to show up. The big bastard didn't fight back much. However, their toxic spit really melted through my health, although I was thankfully able to heal up quick enough with a stim pack. I powered up the castle before moving on to a drive-in theater in order to clear out a bunch of mole rats. After finishing that, I may or may not have grown a third nut, which would be
An odd medical condition.
I built a recruitment beacon and soon found myself at the local water treatment plant. I came right in the middle of a battle between gunners and mutants. Good thing my knife doesn't discriminate. I took out the rest of the mutants on the outside of the plant, took a missile to the face, and made it inside. The power went out in my house, and I was afraid that I lost my footage. Thankfully, I was able to retrieve it. I entered the water treatment plant and began to drain the building. This woke up the surrounding mirelurks, and I was forced to fight through them to flip more levers. The mirelurks tried to gang up on me in a hallway, but it didn't work out for them. I continued to drain the water until I'm finally able to flip the final switch and restart the plant. One long elevator ride later, I once again got surprised by a fucking vertibird. Leave me alone, you assholes! It thankfully got distracted by another target, and I was able to finish another quest involving a robot settlement. When I got back to a different settlement, I proceeded to cook nearly 100 pieces of mirelurk meat. No reason I added this, that's just a whole lot of meat.
Yeah, boy.
I found a random funeral and added 4 more bodies to the grave. I found myself in a nearby hole in the ground and proceeded to add another deathclaw to the list of my victims. After that, I got an awesome shot of me fighting even more Enclave members. That was before I moved on to a bunch of raiders who were occupying a giant quarry. I found a power armor guy hiding in fear and thought he could run away from me. Blitz is coming in real handy right about now. I felt like a kid in a candy store when I found 3 poor souls stuck in a confined space. I was actually surprised to find a turret firing on me, setting me on fire in the process. I made my way inside the mine, destroying those that got in my way, and destroying the boss's guards easily, allowing me to finish off the boss soon afterwards. I continued my way through the mine, taking out the copious amounts of ghouls as I went. This place was crawling with the things, but it gave me plenty of things to stab, so I'm not complaining. I found another bobblehead that I will not use, tripped balls for a second before dealing with even more ghouls. I grabbed Krem's tooth for no reason, 360 no-scoped a ghoul, and continued my way through the mines until I reached the end. I met up with Preston and he tells me that he wants to take back the castle. Way ahead of you, bitch. I continued my way through the settlement quest, just biding my time until the castle defense mission. I had to fight my way through a raider camp from earlier, got punched in the face by a dumbass with brass knuckles, and carved my way through their underground tunnels. I finished off the boss in order for me to rescue a captive settler. I really had to fight my killer instincts here. I worked out my murder blue balls out on a bunch of fire-worshipping weirdos. I think this guy really wanted to kiss me, but he chickened out as soon as I moved. I made him kiss my knife as I'm being absolutely barbecued by his crewmates. That doesn't mean getting set on fire will stop me from slicing throats. I reached the boss room and didn't even try to talk the Finch kid into going home. I just started stabbing immediately. It only took one critical to turn the boss into a damn basketball. I was forced to kill the sun, but I didn't really care about that. I put the fear of God and anime into one particular raider as I descended from fucking heaven to slice his throat. I traveled over to Finch Farm to complete the quest. However, it seemed that I had forgotten to grab their special flaming sword back at the boss room, meaning I would have to walk all the way back to retrieve it. Yeah, I don't got the patience for that bullshit. I went deathclaw hunting, cleared out another settlement for the Minutemen, and stabbed a mechanized raider in the ass. I did the same to a random Brotherhood soldier, before watching a vertebrate erupt into a giant fireball, which resulted in a chain reaction of multiple different explosions going off all at once. They just kept going, they would not stop. I stopped by a raider camp to do some killing, and watched one of them jump from the second story to escape me. It didn't work, but it was a good effort. I went off to complete another settlement quest, where I needed to clear out a raider-controlled robot racetrack. The raiders and robots didn't put up much of a fight, but I was somehow able to stab a guy with my damn mind. I finished off the raider boss and leveled up after killing the last one.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Aside from getting jump scared by a random ghoul, I cut my way through the building with ease, allowing me to kill a glowing one for another settlement quest, as well as exterminating a whole house full of giant mosquitoes that wanted to suck me dry, and not in the fun way. With that shit finished, I am finally given the quest to go set up some giant artillery cannons. Hell yeah! I returned to the castle to meet up with Ronnie Shaw. I quickly made my way down to the castle's catacombs and stared down a giant death machine. Seeing as it wasn't going to attack, I did the honors of taking it out. Ronnie unlocked the artillery room, I got a shit ton of wine, and the schematics for giant cannons. However, before I could celebrate, we were surprised to find a Brotherhood vertebrate circling overhead. It dropped a couple of soldiers, who I dealt with quickly, before I stared at the aircraft with mild annoyance. That is until it got so scared of me that it crashed itself while trying to escape. I built the artillery cannons, chucked the signal grenade, and watched as the parking lot got decimated by my orbital bombardment. I relayed my success to Preston, finally starting the castle defense mission, putting us in the home stretch of the game. I returned to the castle and immediately went balls deep into the battle. I may have gotten a bit too excited though. Trying again, I found myself in the middle of them and used Vast to tag as many as I could. I even sent one to the fucking moon!
Bother hell.
While I was fighting the synths, even more popped in out of nowhere, right next to me by the way, allowing my knife to taste even more oil. Partway through, I noticed a shimmer in the air, and proceeded to chase down an invisible courser around the castle, just trying to stab it in the ass. I continued the courser killing, making one of them drown in the process. One of them was trying to hide it from me before trying to run away from me in fear. I was very thankful for Blitz to allow me to catch him. A couple more coursers later, I am finally able to finish off the castle defense mission. One of the last coursers thought he could retreat back to the Institute. However, I chased that bitch down like the true slasher that I was, not stopping until I'm able to stab his ass. I completed the quest, ready to bring the fight to the Institute. Sturgis somehow found a way into the place, and I decided that they had fulfilled their usefulness. I tried to kill them, but like Virgil, they are all essential. I was half tempted to grab a kill everything mod, but I held off. I wanted to keep this as vanilla as possible, aside from the Michael Myers mod, obviously. Also, I was afraid I was going to soft lock the game at some point. I made my way to the Institute, killing the raiders that got in my way. I even got a double kill with one stab. I finished them off, swam into the Institute's asshole, and put a code in to unlock the sewer access tunnel. I took out the turrets at the beginning of the tunnel, a random mole rat with a missile launcher shoved up its ass, and a small horde of ghouls that were roaming the tunnels. I got freaked out a little bit by a monkey room. Monkey. I fought my way through the few synth guards along the way, reached the teleporter room, and was able to bring Preston and the Minutemen into the Institute as well. Preston gave me a bomb, and I immediately started stabbing synths in the face. I got another double kill on some robots, and cleared out the rest of the room. I felt the robots' thick explosion all over my face, before finding myself fighting a couple of robotic gorillas. I finished off the nearby synths, kicked one in the dongle, and brought my chaos to the atrium. What the hell? I phased through one of the black armor synths, killing it instantly. I got a 4-piece combo on a bunch of synths that were just standing there and watching me terrorize their home. I started walking menacingly towards one of the scientists, who does a funny little run in their attempt to run away from me. A few more kills later, I'm able to take an elevator down and reach Father's room. I put the old guy to bed and shut down the Institute's lockdown, where I may have forgotten to engage the evacuation order. With the shutdown lowered, even more synths come out of the woodworks, only to get taken out by my knife. There were a few that actually tried to attack me, but the most did little more than just run away from me in fear. I made my way deeper into the Institute, killing anything that moved. I cut my way through the turrets protecting the reactor room, before pumping myself full of every single kind of drug that I had in my inventory. So much so that it would probably cause multiple overdoses in a normal person. Thankfully, I'm not normal. I felt unstoppable as I made my way into the reactor room, being able to one-shot one of the synth commandos, as well as fighting a swarm of squishy scientists, all huddled in the same corner, making my job very easy. Although apparently, one of my VATS attacks jumped over to a black armor synth and killed it without me even touching it. Awesome. I finished off the rest of the scientists, armed the bomb, and teleported out of there to the main teleporter room. I told Sturgis to fire up the relay, and I soon exited the Institute and teleported to the top of the mass fusion building. With the press of a big red button, I watched as the Institute went up in a massive fireball. Now, technically, the game is over. However, now the Minutemen have no use to me at all. That includes the settlers I've been helping all this time. With the Institute finished, I turned on the Minutemen around me. However, I am unable to kill Preston, which is fine with me. I'll just kill what he cares about most. I started the long and tedious process of traveling to every single settlement that I helped or created and killing every settler I could find. It doesn't matter who they are or where they are. I will find them and I will kill them. The only settlement that I didn't decimate is the one completely comprised of robots. There's no blood there. Why would I even give a shit? I did get one settler stuck in limbo like I did with Deacon from earlier. Some of them had no idea what was coming until it was too late. I was very tempted, but they're immortal, so there's no point. Instead of doing that, I moved on to my second target, swimming across the water to the Brotherhood's outpost. Out of all soldiers, only one actually tried to fight back. The rest of them just ran around like headless chickens, trying their hardest to escape my knife. Although they were unsuccessful and every single one of them were taken out with far more holes than they were born with. I even had to chase the last guy's ass down. Just let me stab you already! Don't think I forgot about the castle as well. Oh, also, I stopped by Good Neighbor. They weren't getting out of this purge either. Hancock is able to stay standing somehow, but I think he's just in his down state, but also standing up. I don't understand. I took out Cleo, which hurt my soul, before having to stab Hancock again. He seems to be the only one who's not trying to run away from me. I moved on to the main street area and took out everything that moved around me. Hancock, leave me the fuck alone. This is happening whether you like it or not. I sent one resident flying with one of my strikes, and paid a visit to the gangsters in the back alley. With all that taken care of, I am unable to kill Irma or Dr. Amari, which was a little annoying, so I killed Kent instead, which just made me feel shitty. I like that guy. We're almost done, one more stop. However, Diamond City was in a bit of a crisis when I arrived. Mayor McDonough is actually an undercover synth, and he shot one of the guards. I made my way up to where the mayor was holding a hostage. I disarmed the situation the only way I knew how. Without a hostage, he can't do shit. Oh, and he's dead. Never mind. McDonough got caught in my attack and died by my phantom knife or something. Oh well, time to go to work. I downed Piper before moving on to the residents below. I was able to target quite a few of them in VATS before I was surprised to find Mo Cronin actually fighting back. It didn't work, but I admired the confidence. I continued my way through everyone, painting the great green jewel red with blood, and finishing off as many people as I could. I made sure not to forget about the rich asshole as well. Not far from there, I jumped off the side of the stands and finished off the last resident. Finally, with everything completed, I collected every body I was able to lift, and threw them into a giant pile for a nice final shot. With all that taken care of, can you beat Fallout 4 as lore-accurate Michael Myers? Not really. Can you beat Fallout 4 as an unconventional Michael Myers? I'm gonna say yes, but let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you to everyone who took time out of their day to watch one of my videos. Your support means everything to me, and I hope you guys will return for more of my bullshit. Sorry if this challenge video is shorter than some of the previous ones. After the long ass grind that was the Dying Light challenge, I needed something a little lighter to reset myself. Please let me know of any challenges you guys would like to see me try. I try to put your ideas into consideration for what kind of challenges I decide to do. With that being said, I'm sorry for rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love you guys, and happy Halloween!